YouTubers, it's a nice day for a red wedding, isn't it? Seriously, I felt like even if you knew that the red wedding was coming, or if you've read the books, that the oh shit moment was so much bigger than the Battle of Blackwater Bay last season, I felt like it made it look like some sort of leftover fireworks display. Only Ned's moment in season one is just as big. Lady Stoneheart will have her revenge. Seriously though, how creepy was Filch in this episode? I felt like even when he was trying to remember the names of all his daughters and granddaughters, it was just so creepy. In the books, Walder Frey is actually played for comedy. I feel like on the show, though, they kept it really dark just to keep the tone of the episode consistent. If you remember at the end, there was actually no music after that final death. No spoilers yet. We'll talk about the deaths later in the video. So I feel like if you had gone on Twitter before or after this episode, you would have just found your feed littered with the corpses of broken Stark dreams. I feel like the show does a really good job of showing you how the good guys don't win. And that's not to say that the bad guys always win. It just goes to show you that you cannot predict anything. Anything can happen to anyone. And I really feel like it's the unpredictability of this show that gives it so much more emotional weight as a series than a lot of other traditional TV shows. So let's talk about the fing phrase. I feel like David Bradley, who plays Walder Frey, if you remember him from Harry Potter, actually is just so ambiguous. It makes it seem like in the episode that he betrays the Starks because Robb Stark broke his promise to marry his daughter, but in reality, I feel like he just doesn't care at all what happens. I feel like it harkens back to that moment when he's trying to remember his daughter's names, or that moment where he just says, I'll get another wife, I don't care. It just goes to show you that he basically has just given up. He just doesn't give a shit about anything, which is the case for a lot of other characters on the show. I actually feel like if Jaime hadn't have gotten his moments with Brienne this season, that would actually be the direction that his character was going. Quick test: if you did not freak out in the last 5 minutes of the episode, you might be dead inside. But honestly, I had a lot of trouble watching it again and not flinching. Just one death right after the other. And what about that moment where Robb Stark puts his hand on Talisa's stomach? I feel like in the books, it's much more ambiguous how far along her pregnancy is. They do have that moment where they talk about the baby's name, but on the show, they just make it so much clearer that there is definitely something growing inside of her, and it was just so awful to watch. Add to that Arya's arrival at the party and her watching Grey Wind die. I feel like this is more of a show about broken families than it is about a play for thrones. No one is safe. Go hug someone you love right now, because the Lannisters might kill them tomorrow. Don't worry, there's one more episode in the season. It will largely deal with Dany's aftermath in Yunkai, as well as the events in King's Landing that lead to the Purple Wedding. If you remember, Joffrey actually just goes from bonkers to comic book levels of crazy. I also think that we'll deal with the birth of Lady Stoneheart. There's a big confrontation coming between Jon Snow and Ygritte. I don't think we'll see it in the season finale just because it comes much later in the story and invokes a lot of the wildlings and the Night's Watch. I do think we will see Arya use her Vagar Morghulis coin. If you remember from the end of last season, I'll be doing a season 4 spoiler video for this Thursday that will actually talk about what that coin does and where it's going to take her, along with the other events in season 4. So remember to subscribe to get that video. So just to talk more about the major deaths on the show, obviously Robb Stark was the big death, the King in the North. Honestly, before this episode, I wasn't totally emotionally invested in the character. In the books, he's actually not even a POV person, so I feel like George R. R. Martin never really intended for him to be a main character. But seriously, the phrase. I feel like everyone's going to be dealing with the grief from this episode until next season begins, just because that's going to be when the revenge comes. Spoilers in my preview for season 4 on Thursday, though. If you've read the books, you know about Lady Stoneheart and the Purple Wedding, so you know what's coming and what's going to follow those events. So don't worry, everyone. The North will remember. While you wait for that season 4 spoiler video this week, you can click here to learn all about Matt Smith leaving Doctor Who this season, and spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy, and you can click here to watch more Game of Thrones videos. Thanks for watching. Revenge high fives.